presentation focuses on my educational ideology based on the EDU 224 module. So what is an educational ideology? Before progressing, it is important to learn the terminology used within this presentation and fully understand what an educational ideology is. An educational ideology is a series of educational ideas that are held by a group of people regarding the formal arrangements for education. My ideology has been developed and carefully considered based on my own experience as a student throughout my time in education, my time in schools on placements, and the information I have learned and studied throughout the EDU 224 module. How ideologies can be grouped. As educational ideologies are ideas surrounding formal arrangements for education, they can usually be ideas surrounding the purpose of education, the organisation of education, and the delivery of education. These are then further grouped as to whether they emphasise that the purpose of education is to meet the individual's needs, the needs of society, or to gain a certain level of knowledge. My ideology. I believe my educational ideology to be relatively holistic, with views that it should meet the needs of the individual and the society, but also enable individuals to gain a relative level of knowledge. In order to develop an ideology, I thought it best to think of a set of key principles or changes to the current education system. I have carefully considered each of these to be part of my educational ideology, and these are as follows. Less summative assessment. Having less summative assessment within schools is a main factor within my ideology. I agree that assessment in general is needed within schools in order to monitor whether teaching strategies are working and that children are making a certain level of progress. Or else, in my opinion, teaching is not worthwhile to a certain extent if no one is progressing. However, I do not believe that assessment of any kind should play a negative factor within a student's well-being. From experience, I know that exams can be overpowering and cause unnecessary levels of stress, especially to younger students taking exams at the end of Key Stage 2. There are other methods of assessment, such as practical assessments or coursework, that are just as beneficial because they provide a range of ways for students to showcase their full potential, and due to the strict nature of exams, they are not for everyone. They ultimately cause poor results from stress or nerves, which can hinder a student's overall well-being. An example of using alternative assessment methods is within the Finnish education system. Finland get consistently high rankings on the PISA rankings. The Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development describe PISA as standardised assessments that measures the extent to which students at the end of compulsory education can apply their knowledge to real-life situations and how far they are equipped for full participation within society. Finland also use a great amount of formative assessment at classroom level as opposed to summative assessment. These are ongoing based on assessment guidelines within the core curriculum. There is one final exam at the end of secondary school, but no others throughout school life in order for the pupils to get into further education. It is believed that the lack of assessment and strict regimes, such as short school days ending between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m, allow for students and the community to trust the school and ultimately enjoy their learning. The lack of stress and hindrance to the students' well-being allows for high attainment levels, as Finland are achieving better than the UK, who do have a strict emphasis on scheduled school days and summative assessments, thus showing that the lack of emphasis on summative assessment is beneficial for the individual and society. Child-centred learning. Child-centred learning is another factor I believe to be important within education. This is because tailoring each individual's learning to their needs and interests allows children to grow as individual people and develop their individual personalities, not just within their studies like within the current education system. By allowing this to do this by exploring their own individual and personal interests, they are able to showcase and reach their full potential as they are learning about things they want to and not what they are being forced to, and therefore this creates a passion and want for learning. Focusing on the individual is also something that Pestalozzi emphasised within his approach to education. He emphasised the importance for a child to be free to explore their interests and needs, and he firmly believed in a child-centred approach as opposed to a teacher-centred approach, allowing children to take learning into their own hands with occasional guidance as opposed to the teacher dominating the child's learning. In addition to this, Maria Montessori believed parental involvement within schoolwork and child development to be a key factor within child-centred learning. So much so, a main principle within Montessori schools is the union between the family and the schools. Parental involvement is something I also believe to be a vital part within education, as it helps to ensure individuals are constantly learning in and out of the school environment, ensuring learning and developing, delving deeper into their interests, and again creating that passion and want for learning, which I believe wanting to learn is a key part of progressing within education. Lesson hierarchy. The current UK government have more emphasis on maths, English and science than any other subject. The structure of the current curriculum is separated into core subjects and other foundation subjects. Core subjects are maths, English and science, and foundation subjects are subjects such as art and design, modern foreign languages and humanities. To an extent I agree with this. There needs to be a hierarchy of lessons in order to ensure students have a full set of skills and potential to progress on to further education or work. English and maths in particular provide skills that are required throughout all aspects of life, such as the writing of a CV or a university application, and money skills and simple mathematics that may be needed for work within shops or businesses. These are all skills in which I believe everyone needs to a certain extent, and therefore these should be taught more within schools. However, as shown within a Year 9 timetable from Woodfield Secondary School, this shows maths, English and science have a very large dominance over the other subjects, taking over almost half of the timetable, and at least one of these lessons occurs every day. It also shows how art, music, humanities, PE and other subjects have only half the allocated timetable between them. Ultimately, they are being pushed to the side and this does not allow for creativity and individual interests to truly develop. Therefore, I believe there should be a hierarchy, but the margin should not be as big. Outdoor education. Outdoor learning, such as forest schools, is the final principle within my educational ideology. In my opinion, outdoor education is beneficial because it is good for all ages and ability. This is because anyone of any age or ability can learn something new within an outdoor environment. It allows children to explore freely. Often within schools, subjects such as history have boundaries in order to stick to the curriculum for the age group and learn the essentials. There is no boundary with outside learning, with no two outdoor environments being the same, unlike in a classroom. The learning potential is endless. Enhancing transferable life skills. Being able to freely explore allows children to communicate. Where work within classrooms is generally similar to previous lessons, a new environment to investigate is exciting for children and means they will express this excitement and their findings with each other, ultimately enhancing their confidence, self-esteem and building better relationships with their peers, all of which are transferable life skills that they will need throughout all stages of life, which is something I believe to be very important. In addition to this, Froebel and Montessori are two theorists that believed in the benefits of outdoor learning. Froebel believed outdoor learning encouraged independence and creativity through investigation and discovery, as being near nature enables children to understand their place within the wider world. And Montessori believed in allowing children free choice as to where they would want to learn and encouraging playing with toys made of natural materials in order to develop life skills. conclude, my ideology consists of 4 key principles: less summative assessment within schools in order to prevent stress, improve well-being and allow children to showcase their full potential, as examinations are not suitable for everyone; child-centred learning, as lessons tailored to each individual allows them to develop their own interests and therefore develop an inquisitiveness and love for learning; lesson hierarchy, where maths and English are valued, but not as strongly as they are in the current education system, as maths and English skills are needed in everyday life. However, individual interests and creativity in the curriculum also need a substantial amount of time; and outdoor learning, as a change in the standard classroom environment encourages socialisation, exploration, inquisitiveness and enhances confidence and self-esteem. These principles mainly focus on the delivery and organisation of education. However, I believe that my ideology overall is relatively holistic, as child-centred learning and less summative assessment focus on the needs, interest and potential of the individual. I have highlighted my belief in transferable life skills such as confidence and maths and English skills and their benefits for the future, which also meet the needs of society by having well-educated individuals working within it. And finally, a small amount of knowledge. I have emphasised the needs for more English and maths in order for students to progress within education, such as attending university.